My name is Monde Muyangwa. I am delighted to welcome Tom Mboya to give us a perspective from Africa on how the continent views the recent US elections and a potential Biden administration. I'm especially delighted to have this discussion with Tom, as this is a follow-on to our 2015 discussion following then President Obama's visit to the continent. So Tom, welcome, and let's get right to it.
Thank you very much.
Could you tell us how the continent views this bite of an election that we just had in this country? What are the reactions from the continent?
Indeed, it has been a nail-biter of an election, and one which, by many accounts, may not be over yet. If anything that we see in the media is an indication of that. What we're seeing is that, the political and societal divisions have been laid bare over the last couple of years in the US, and that these have culminated in a very deeply divisive campaign and election period, which I think is probably taking its toll on Americans in general. Monde, as you know, as a continent, we've seen our fair share of electoral crises here in Africa, so we recognize one when we see one. The types of divisions and electoral contestation that we're witnessing are not unique to Africa. What we're seeing is that they do happen in other parts of the world as well. But I think that the important thing and the important question is how we resolve these issues, how our institutions deal with them, and how people respond. These are the important things, and so Africa, I think, will be very keenly watching to see how the US is able to resolve these issues, and especially the current electoral situation. Sure. Beyond that situation, the legalities of the electoral situation itself, I think it also goes further, and another similarity with Africa is that the US will now have to face the fact that there are very deep-rooted societal divisions that need to be dealt with. Even once the dust has settled on the election, these issues won't go away. So it will require some very proactive measures, discussions and deliberation to be able to deal with those issues. And I'm sure that all Africans, myself included, will wish our brothers and sisters in the US the very best in that regard.
Thank you, Tom. I think that's a really good segue into the next question, which is, as you look across the continent at official reactions and reactions from ordinary Africans, what do you think the continent is hoping for from a Biden administration, should that prevail in the courts?
I think what the continent is hoping for from a Biden administration is perhaps a return to normalcy. What do I mean by that? Well, just to put it a little bit in context, Africa has enjoyed a very long-standing relationship with the US. I'm happy to say that in the case of my own country here in Kenya, both the government and the peoples of our two countries enjoy a long history of very, very cordial relations. And again, in the case of Kenya, more than 55 years of diplomatic relations. So I think really what Kenya and Africa are expecting from a Biden administration is the opportunity to be able to build on that very, very long history of relations. There are indeed many who will feel that under a Trump administration, that parts of Africa fell off the radar, as it were, and that Africa was no longer a priority. So that, in this sense, his administration may have been something of a disruption to the normal course of relations between Africa and the US. So I suspect what many Africans would like to see is simply this return to normalcy, to continue to build upon the relations that we have been building upon for so long now.
All right. Thank you. And final question, if you could give the Biden administration the list of the top 3 issues that they should focus on when it comes to Africa, what would those 3 issues be?
Let me first say that, yes, I do have 3 issues I'd like to highlight, but there's nothing new here. So I guess in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that I don't think a Biden administration needs to reinvent the wheel. They simply need to look at where Africa and the US have been working together, the collaboration that has existed, and build upon that. So the first key issue for me is healthcare. We are in the midst of a pandemic, as you well know, a global pandemic. But even before that, the US has always been a very, very strong partner with Africa, working with African countries to improve particularly public health care.
Mm-hmm.
With the COVID-19 pandemic, this has just highlighted the need on the continent to be able to make greater efforts towards improving public health care. But also the ability of our healthcare systems to better deal with not only pandemics, but also the health requirements, the ongoing health requirements of our people and populations. Mm-hmm. The second issue, I would say, is trade. I think we are sensing a shift, moving away from, an over-reliance on aid to trade. We're very well aware that Africa does have a tremendous amount to bring to the table. So I think that the mutual interests of the African and US private sectors has a significant amount of potential to be able to create jobs and fuel economic growth, and thereby unlocking opportunities for the benefit of all involved. The last issue I'd like to raise is peace and security, which again is one issue that the US and Africa have been working together with for quite some time, and that collaboration has grown significantly. Security challenges on the continent are inextricably linked to the national security of the US. And this is something that's been researched and well spoken about. And this is also due to the globalized security environment in which we all live. So therefore, improving the ability of countries on the African continent to be able to address issues such as transnational security, I think, is paramount. And in dealing with these issues is a benefit not just to the individual country, not just to the region, but also to the global community at large.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom. We appreciate that perspective from the continent, and we look forward to having you back again at some point. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Mm-hmm.